The Nikki Glaser Podcast. The Nikki Glaser Podcast.
Here's Nikki.
Hello, here I am. It's the Nikki Glaser Podcast. My mic was up too much. Oh wait, I'm turning it down. Sorry, that was for me. My headphones were too loud. Sorry, I didn't appear on screen when that was happening. Jump scare. It's the show. Welcome. Anya and Brian and Noah are all here, and we're still all in California, and then Noah is still in New York.
Yeah.
My God, you've been there so long. Why are
can't
you
wait to
there
get the hell
again?
out of
I was realized the other day, I don't know why exactly you're there.
Well, I originally came here for Anya's wedding. And then at the same time, I was helping my dad. He had to move. And I'm in his new house right now.
Like from a chair to the couch or something?
No. Just like
our parents' age, it could be that.
She's a really good daughter.
Just holding his hand, walking him along.
Yeah,
no, he has
sweet.
like so much crap, and I don't know. I just stayed to help him, and I think it was a mistake, though.
Nice.
It's really, my parents know that I'm not going to do, I will pay money to hire people to do that, but I can't.
That's what I should have done. I should have done that. You're right about
so in
that.
retrospect, you do wish that you would have just like spent some coin to have someone else do it.
Yes, because the amount of screaming at me that happened was just inappropriate.
Yeah. Throwing out, did you throw out things that he wanted, or were you like
he yelled at me and then I just gave up on it, even though it was a great time for clearing. He's very, like, my dad is very stubborn, and I realize if I come visit like annually, he'll just get more and more stubborn as the years go by. Mm-hmm. And there was no like changing anything. Everything that went from one house had to go into the next house in the same way and the same quantity.
I'm guessing he's moving because he has to, because this guy doesn't like change. So he's being forced to move?
No.
Or did he want? He wanted to?
He wanted to.
Oh.
He wants more space so that he can accumulate more crap.
Yes.
Anytime there's some sort of moving situation, or like I remember in college, and even all the way up when I was living in New York, it was like asking a friend to help you move, or like, and then you give them pizza and you have a fucking pizza party.
Yeah.
And then I learned like, it's like $250 to pay professional movers to move shit for you. I mean, how much would it cost a TaskRabbit to have that, to get that shit done for you? And then it's like so little. Like when I was like 22 years old, I was like, it must cost $5,000 to have movers come and help you move things. And it's like, no, it's not. It's like $200.
It's like the hotel mini bar. There's like always a meme about like, who grew up in a time where you thought if you like ate a couple things, you would bankrupt your family and end up on the streets. And I still have that anxiety of like, if I try to move things around to put like a hummus in, I'm like, the sensors will know, and I am going to be in a shelter tomorrow because I moved a Jack Daniel's mini bottle. Yeah, there's all these things that we like attribute. It's going to be so much we don't even like check. Yeah, it's moving is how. Listen, these are all life lessons. You'll do it right the
Chris
next time.
Just move into your place?
Yeah, but this is what I love about my boyfriend. There are like, whenever I'm like, oh, is this going to be the right thing forever for us? I'm like, I have a boyfriend who would never ask me to lift a finger to help him in any, like he does everything himself and hates to put me out in any way, which I'm very much like that too with him. Like I don't like to put him out, but he protects me from bullshit because he knows that is such an anxiety for me of like, if we ever moved into a house together, he's going to deal with the guy to come over and fix our dishwasher. He's going to deal with the guy to, like, I'll never have to do anything that's like a solid agreement between us. Is like, I get stressed out by those things. He protects me from them. And then I don't know really what I do for him, but I make him laugh. I have to like reassess what I offer my boyfriend, I think, because he really does do a lot for me. And the other night, God, there was some meme I sent him. Let me just look it up because it was so cute. Oh, I also want to get to this letter I got from a bestie last night. I was at the Laugh Factory, and a bestie, I was on my way there. I was doing 3 sets, and I was looking at my phone at a stoplight, and a bestie wrote me and was like, I'm at the Laugh Factory. I'm going to see you. I have a letter for you. It's okay if I can't give it to you, but I'm here. And I was like, oh, fine. Just go to the bathroom and find me because you'll see me walk in. It's very it's conspicuous. Like you have to be kind of conspicuous there because there's nowhere to like really hide when you enter. And so when I got there, she was in the bathroom not waiting for me, but she was just in the bathroom, I think. And then I went into the bathroom. I think she first went in there because she had anxiety about crowd work because the guy on stage at the time was doing crowd work. Because then my friend Jermaine Fowler, another comedian, said there was a girl in the bathroom hiding from crowd work. And then you came in and I heard you walk into the bathroom and her go, oh my God. And so she like started crying as soon as I walked in. She was washing her hands and she just didn't expect to see me. And she was wearing a Nikki Glaser podcast t-shirt. And she's like, and her eyes were welling up and she was so cute and so sweet. And I was just so freaking touched. And then she gave me a letter and I said that I would read it and I haven't yet. And now I'm reading it. Okay. So the meme that I sent him a couple things that are really funny. Because Chris has a segment on his podcast called The Best Thing I Saw Yesterday, and they all just share like memes or tweets or something that they saw on the internet, or even if they saw in their real lives. And he sometimes reads ones that I send him. And one is a bumper sticker. I don't know if you guys saw it. It was like on the internet a lot the past couple of days. And it's a bumper sticker that says Helen Keller denier. And then like one of those non-smoking signs that has like a red circle with a cross. And in that cross, it says, ain't no way.
I saw that and skipped past it because I didn't get it. And I still don't get it. I don't understand the question and I won't respond to it.
Okay, wait, Brian, would you like to explain it then as I look for this other tweet?
I believe the way I interpret this piece of art is that people are saying that there's an imaginary group of people who deny that Helen Keller could have possibly been deaf, dumb, and blind and still been alive and wrote things. And then the slogan is what would be a slogan for those people. Ain't no way that she could have done all those things and been deaf, dumb, and blind. She was faking that being deaf, dumb, and blind. Just a more succinct way to say that.
It's not real. There's no one that's a Helen Keller denier. It's a joke.
Yes. It's like a satirization of people like Holocaust deniers and stuff.
Moon landing deniers, flat earthers. Yeah.
Yes.
Yeah. And then, okay, here's the meme. Oh, sorry. What was your next question?
Sorry.
I believe
I love analyzing things like this. Yes.
Why the red cross out sign?
Well, I think that's just bad graphics because they're making fun of people who don't know how to actually put together. Because usually all those people, moon landing people, flat earthers, they don't really know how to present an argument in a like they usually use they probably don't have they don't pay a lot for good graphics. They don't have Adobe
Creative Suite on their computer.
Yeah. So let me get this right. Doesn't even make sense.
The sign says "ain't no way" or whatever.
Okay. So the sign says Helen Keller denier in font on the bumper sticker. Then on the side, it's a non-smoking sign. And in that non-smoking sign, it says "ain't no way" and it's crossed out. That does not make sense.
It doesn't make any sense.
But that they're making fun of people who don't know how to make things.
This isn't funny.
In that instance. And then the ain't no way is a satirical making fun of flat earthers, moon landing people because they rarely have any evidence. So that person's argument is
it's just
ain't
showing
no
how
way.
stupid people are.
Yes.
I mean, in essence, that's all comedy, isn't it?
Yeah, I mean, it's just making fun of people being dumb.
I feel like there's something either awry with my brain or other people, because to me, this isn't funny at all. But I want to laugh.
Well, okay, let me just make you laugh about it. Okay, there's a group of people out there that are like joined together and they don't believe their big thing that they make bumper stickers over and they get together in groups and talk about and spread misinformation about is that Helen Keller is faking it.
Is that a real
she's
thing?
not really No, this is it's a joke.
It's a satire.
So it's making fun of flat earthers, like people who believe in this, or Bigfoot,
deniers.
or yes. And
people who have no evidence to believe something outrageous.
And then their tagline is just this empty phrase of "ain't no way," which the word "ain't" implies they're kind of stupid because you don't say "ain't" unless it's like, I mean, you can say "ain't" all you want, but you wouldn't say that if you were like a group of people coming together to be like, "What's our statement?" You would put "ain't" in it, and then crossing out "ain't no way" doesn't make any sense. It's just like a bad graphic choice, and so it just kind of hammers up. Like, look at how bad this the art is on this.
Yes, I remember seeing
it's like using Comic Sans almost. It's bad. So okay,
guys.
Here's the meme that I was looking for. Yeah, I love this. It reminds me of my favorite segment on my old favorite podcast. What was that called? It was with PJ Vogt and another guy but they used to do this thing called yes, yes, no or something.
Oh,
and
yeah.
this one, remember that? And
yes.
remember that? I hate when people say remember that.
No.
Remember that? And it was about one guy that was like an older man would be like, he would bring a tweet that he saw and he would be like, I don't know what this means, but it has 20,000 likes and 5,000 retweets, and it made no sense. And they would break it down because it would be some very specific reference, and they would like teach you how to understand meme culture. And it's like, it was interesting. So this one is.
Then, and also we got to give a shout out to Tony Zarrett. Then he's the king of this satirizing meme culture.
Tony
Zarrett. He might have made that Helen Keller thing.
He probably did. He's the one that does the best job of it, where you go, is this real, or is he, oftentimes people think he's legit. Tony Zarrett, Zaret, if you want to follow someone who is like satirizing memes culture. And idiots. Okay, so this one is the one I was talking about. It's a body like floating, and above it says, the feminism leaving my body when my nightstand water cup is empty.
Because you want your boyfriend to get it for you.
Yeah. And that's always what happens. Like when I'm in bed, I'll just be like, I won't even say anything. I'll just be like, oh, I forgot my charger in the living room. And and Chris can be in deep REM sleep, and he will have worked a 24-hour shift. Like sometimes he will still go get it for me, even if I've been laying in bed all day. Like he is always that's a very sweet thing about him. But anyway,
the comedic power of memes is amazing. I was at your hotel a couple weeks ago, and we were playing What Do You Meme? The game What Do You Meme? Mm-hmm. And at first, I think all of us were like, wait a second, this isn't going to be fun. Like, these aren't funny. And then we started playing What Do You Meme? And then 5 minutes later, we're like, this is fucking hysterical. Memes are so funny.
So funny. Just a dog looking sideways.
Yes.
And then it's a really fun game. It's called What Do You Meme? And it has all these meme pictures, and you pick a picture, and then every person has like a deck of phrases like that are funny things, like when your boss calls you in and tells you you've been spending too much time in the bathroom at work or something. Like it has those kinds of things. And then you have a deck of them, and for every picture that gets put up, you put the best phrase for that meme. And then the person who picked the meme picture has to vote on which one's the funniest. And so you read all of these in conjunction with the picture, which is being posed on this it has a little easel it comes with. And you look at the picture and read these things, and it's really, really funny. And we had a good time playing it. But okay, so yeah, last night this girl came, and she was really sweet, and she gave me a letter, which we'll read later because we're going to do Fanthrax. But yeah, I went. I wanted to say this weekend, Brian and I hung out with. We went to a pool party.
Yes.
What?
Yeah, I did something social. I saw. I guess it was like last week. I went and did a set, and Tim Dillon was there, who I'm quite obsessed with right now. I'm going through a Louis C.K. / Tim Dillon, just like obsession, where it's like all I listen to. And his podcast about Lizzo, can I just give a shout out? You guys finish this one, but then go listen to that one. It's so fucking funny, his take on the Lizzo thing. And again, he is like the Tony Zarrett person we're talking about. He's like these like mocking meme things. Like he's not really serious when he says that Lizzo needs to become thin and leave the fatties behind. Leave the pigs in the barn. Abandon them. They've turned on you. He's like, his whole point is that you are the queen of the fatty boom baddies. And he's fat, so he can say this.
Right.
And so I'm just paraphrasing. I don't believe this. I don't call people fats. But he says you need to leave them behind, get thin, go on Rogan. Like he has this whole PR plan for her that is completely ridiculous and totally a joke. But when he said leave the pigs in the barn, it really you need to abandon the hogs and heifers. It was just like it's so harsh that it's so funny because you just go, this is an insane person. But he's so funny. Anyway, I ran into him at the Improv, and he was like, oh, you got great beaches out there where you're staying. And I was like, oh, you go to the beach? He's like, yeah, I body surf. And I was like, let's go to the beach. So we came up with an idea to go meet at a beach. And then the day came, and he was like, we were doing a text exchange with some other people, and we could either go to the beach or you could come to my house. And he's right off a road. I almost said it. It doesn't matter. It's a long road. And and he also, I go, let's go to your house because I just want to go to and sit by your pool. It sounds way more fun. And then I got over to his house on Saturday, which I did. Or Sunday. I gone to Taylor Swift the night before. I did not want to go get up and drive an hour to go to a pool party. I was like, what am I doing? This is like a social thing. What am I doing?
Good for you.
I need to like rest. I know. Good for me. Most people are like, I'd love a pool party, and I'm like exhausted by it. But ended up being very, very fun. I knew it would be as everything I dread. But I got there and he was like,
in Los Angeles, it's a city full of lonely people. So it's almost like doing service by showing up at a party.
That's interesting.
Because everybody's dying for a pool in summer, and then everyone in LA is dying for a friend.
Do you think so?
Yes. It's the loneliest city I've ever lived in.
I think New York City's lonelier.
Really?
I think people... Yeah,
you walk outside and you're not alone. No. In New York, you're like friends with the bagel guy who's yelling at you.
Yes, but that's why it's so sad because you're surrounded by people and yet you still feel lonely.
I don't know,
Haven't you seen the series High Maintenance? High Maintenance, every episode is a characterization of someone in New York City feeling lonely.
And then having a weed guy deliver weed.
And that's your friend.
Yeah.
And you're going through something and he's the only one that's listening to your problems.
But in New York,
I agree with Anya though.
There's this, I remember living in New York. I've told this story before. I'll tell it quickly. I was there for a couple weeks and I was walking down the street and there was an old man shuffling down the street trying to get his arm into his sleeve of his coat. And he was hunched over and I'm just walking beside him for like 10 or 20 paces. And I just grabbed his coat and put it on his arm. I never would do that anywhere else. But in New York City, because we're all together, crammed together, you have this odd sense that we're all a family. And so you don't have as many like walls or boundaries up.
But you guys stepped over 4 homeless people on that 20 steps. You literally...
The old man.
Had to leap over old people that are homeless and dying on the street that you have to ignore.
And that guy probably just got... The reason he had his jacket undone is he's probably dumped a bunch of chemicals into the Hudson River just before that. On his way to his finance bro party.
I feel like in New York, you do not deal with people that are struggling because it's constantly around you and you would never get to where you're going if you addressed every person that needed help in some way with a stroller, with their jacket, with money, with, and I've helped many people in the New York, like old women cross streets and stuff like that. But I think you become, because it's all around you suffering and you go, how are these people affording to live or even be? How do they even get to Manhattan from wherever they came from? Like it's so expensive to even spend 3 hours in Manhattan. So these people trudging along, I don't get where they're all coming from. It's a strange city.
But people talk to each other more in New York. I'm on the street always. People are like, hey, where's this? Where's that? Oh yeah. Like, how do I get to this stop? Think about when you're in New York, you talk to so many strangers. But you're just talking about
cars versus not cars. As I think what you're saying, because people in LA would probably talk to each other. They're just in cars. So is that maybe
in New York? You're on the subway. You're on the street. You're like next to one another. No one talks
to each other on the subway, Anya. Literally, no one. You can get raped on the subway, and people will watch you get raped.
On the subway, you don't talk, but
it's
waiting,
the bystander effect. Yeah.
Waiting or on the stairs or on the way in, you talk.
No way! What New York are you living in?
A French family just was like, "How do you do this Metro card?" To me,
yes, a French family, but that's not a New Yorker.
New York
that is not talking and connecting.
Tourists.
Someone asking me how to use a Metro card is not talking, and that's
it's
certainly
not talking.
And
it's
if you're
not
lonely,
real connecting.
We had a whole conversation about where they went that day.
If you're a lonely person and then you're not going to go to your therapist and be like, I was feeling lonely, but then a French family asked me how to use the Metro card. Now I feel less alone.
I'll just speak for myself. I've lived in both cities. I was very lonely in LA. And because I'm in my car, like you said, you're isolated. And in New York City, I immediately felt like, I don't care if I'm alone all day. I'm at the movie theater. I'm at the park.
I agree with that. I do agree with that. I mean, I want to... Can I just say quickly, I love New York City. It is far superior to LA. Go ahead, sorry.
Yes. But I will say the thing that I've noticed about LA before we go to break is that if you need to get in the next lane, People will let you no matter what. It's the greatest thing about this city. I will never back down from it. I have noticed that people are generous. If oh fuck, I forgot my exit. You are never gonna have to lean on your horn and be like, fuck you. You saw that I'm there. It would take you 2 seconds to just like let me in. Yes, my Amazon boxes are here. They were looking for them yesterday. Someone signed off his name was Red Canyon or something, and Red Ranch. You can just leave it here. Thank you so much. But we couldn't find who Red Ranch was, and we thought maybe it was the name of this place. Anyway, everyone in LA lets you in. Everyone in LA lets you in traffic. They are so generous when it comes to being like, cool, I don't care if you cut me off. Like, no one's freaking out here. The road rage is like less here. And
they let you in because they're all drunk.
No one's what are you talking about? We'll go to break. We'll come back with more after this. We're back. I don't know if LA is all drunk. They're all maybe high driving.
Everyone drunk drives out here. It's like
really?
I mean, here and the OC especially. Forget about it.
Yeah, I did so much drunk driving in LA.
Well, there's so many self-driving cars now that you could kind of do it. I think will that be a thing when you can just be drunk and get in your car and just press go and then it just takes you home and it wouldn't be illegal?
Yeah, why not? That seems smart.
Yeah. All right.
The only thing you might do is type in the wrong place. Oh fuck! It took me to the fucking In-N-Out Burger.
So did you body surf? Oh no, you didn't body surf.
Yeah, so Tim Dillon, so we all go to the house for the pool party. I invite Brian because Brian hasn't seen Tim Dillon in like over maybe 8 years when they used to do a podcast together.
You guys did that podcast.
So Tim was Brian's sidekick on his podcast. So I wrote Tim and I go, hey, can I invite Brian Frangie? He is my podcast sidekick now, and I heard you used to be his. Isn't that crazy? And he wrote back, yes. And I was like, uh-oh, like, am I like, why is he? But I could just tell that it was like, he just looked down on his phone when he was probably in conversation with someone else and was just like, yes. And then he wrote me back later. He was like, I love Brian. I was like, oh, okay, good. Like, it wasn't just like a yes. But he was so excited to see Brian. And then Brian and Allie came over and we all hung out by Tim Dillon's pool and it was very hot. And we watched as Tim Dillon's assistant struggled to put up so Tim Dillon, I guess that morning was like, oh shit, I have no umbrellas and it's hot as fuck out here. And people are going to come over and be outside. So he sent his assistant to go to like Home Depot to get an umbrella. And then the assistant just had to assemble this gigantic outdoor umbrella while we just all sat and watched him struggle in the blazing heat. And and then Tim Dillon got
also one of the hottest guys I've ever seen.
That's so funny. Yeah, he's a good looking guy, but I wouldn't have described him that way. But yeah, he was fit. He was a fit guy. Sorry, wrong room, I think. No, you're okay. You're okay. Yeah,
Nikki's just trying out a new character. What if you were just like doing a monologue?
Well, I'm just connecting with people in LA and proving you that it's a very friendly city. They're dropping up.
It's just someone walking by your window. I have no idea who these people are.
Well, there's like a something going on here that people in the next 2 rooms next to me are doing some kind of production thing. And so they keep wandering up here thinking that they're like with like gaffing tape ready to walk in my room. And I go, no. And sometimes they walk in, they go, oh my God. And they're just so scared.
I didn't realize you were like by a door.
Oh yeah, I'm right by a door. It's right here. In fact, I'm looking at it right now. Look at that fucking door. Yeah. So we had a pool party and it was fun. And Brian brought his wife over. First time I've seen them as husband and wife together. She has amazingly perfect teeth. They were as white as the beautiful sundress outfit she was wearing, which was also gorgeous. She's ethereal. Tim Dillon had lots of nice things to say about her. He was just like, God, she's a keeper. I forget what he said. What did he say to you?
He thought she was 24.
Oh God.
Was,
amazing. Yeah. And how old is she?
Filled with envy.
25?
Yeah, she's 25. So, you know, she was off by a year. Really embarrassing.
Wait, can I ask?
No, but it was really fun.
How is it being married for you? Is it any different from dating? Do you feel any different?
I guess, you know, there are occasions when I, you know, like at this pool party or whatever. I mean, when you say someone's your wife, you get a little bit more credibility there, but also just like, it is nice. Yeah. It is nice to, you get a bow instead of a handshake, which is really an incredible feeling. But you get, every once in a while, I catch myself going like, that's my wife to myself. Like, oh, that's my wife. And I'm pretty happy about it. Whereas when it was my girlfriend, I never did that. So I think there is something about this, like, pride of having this person be your partner forever. That wasn't there before.
That's cute.
That's sweet.
Anya,
I love
you
that.
can speak to this as well. How has that it been for you to say my husband? Have you been introducing him
Matt seems
as such?
happier.
Okay, so that answered how you feel. You're like, Matt seems happier.
No, I just noticed that and it was striking. I was like, he seems happier. What's going on? I mean, it might be related to something else, but and then I ask, I guess, because I didn't feel the thing that everyone's like, it's different. It's so different.
Like people never say it's different. They're just saying it's I hear mostly, I would say 90% of the time I hear it's just the same, especially if the people were living together before.
Maybe I've only heard a couple people say it's different and that stuck in my head. So I'm like, I wonder how it's different. But I'm noticing a very subtle difference of like slightly more tenderness toward one another, or this like slight, it's not respect. It's just like
protectiveness.
Yeah. Like, I guess I'm going to like take care of, like, we're going to look after one another till we're old forever. Yeah. So there's this new attitude of like, all of a sudden we're talking about like long-term things, where we weren't so much before. And it's just like, I don't know, a sweet
or maybe
tenderness.
It's like, she's going to take care of me when I'm old, so I better be nice to her now, or else she might start.
We got to keep her bone health, stable.
Or also, if
I'm getting a lot more magnesium supplements a night.
Yeah.
If I'm mean to her now when I'm in a wheelchair and can't think, she's going to be switching out my pills and hitting me with a ruler and shit.
No,
so I better put in my.
Where like I look at sometimes like. The way my parents eat, like you think about the way your parents eat or the things they do. And I'm just like, we need to keep you around. Like when you start to think about someone's demise or like the long term, like towards the end where you're like, we want to prolong this. You start to kind of nitpick about little things about them. Like I think that if Chris and I got married, I might start to be like, let's look into other food alternatives for you so that because, or we should talk about like when you are in a coma, like, can I date other people? Because we need a plan or whatever, that's a joke, obviously. But it's like, I saw a thing last night that said, the more you hang out with your mom, the longer she's going to live. And I was like, oh God, I need to start hanging out with my mom more. Because I just want them. And then I was listening to this other podcast when I went to sleep, Sam Harris with Peter Attila. And he was talking about longevity, and he's working, this doctor, all he does is work on how to get people to live longer. And there was this like, I don't even want to say it. It's just such a bummer. It's like, if you break your hip after the age of 60, you have a like 90% chance of dying 20 years earlier than you would have if you didn't break your hip. So everything is about don't break your femur. If old people, and that's why you need bone strength, because the only way to break your hip really, or the most common way, is falling. And those statistics are wrong, but it's something outrageous like that, where it's like your chances of living longer are just cut so severely from if you wouldn't have broken your femur. So the goal when you get older is to protect your femur, because it is the biggest indicator of if you're going to have a long life or not, if you're going to reach like your 90s or 100s, which not everyone wants to do maybe, but so the whole thing is like,
that's a leg bone.
Yeah, I didn't know. I guess the top of your femur,
your pelvis, like at your hip, anything around there.
Bone.
Any big bone, I forget what it's called, but he had some really long name for what it is when you break that area. If you break a hip, pretty much, I think was the thing, which is a common old person thing.
Yeah, of course.
But it's all from falling. And so the whole thing is like, and he said, this was a very interesting thing. He said, so it's all about protecting your muscles. Like make sure you eat a lot of protein. And if you're a vegan, you find a way to get that in, because it's going to be harder for you, which I don't agree with. I think it's actually very easy. It's just a way for people to not go vegan. It's like, protein, where do I get it? It's like, have you heard of a pea? But anyway, so he said that you need a lot of protein. You need to do muscle strengthening things. And that he was like, no person, he was like, Sam, how many human beings do you think have lived in the history of human beings? And he's like, I think it's around something like 90 billion people, since the dawn of humanity. And he said, I don't think one of those people on their deathbed, if they were in their old age, would wish they had less muscles. Not one. He was like, it's always the thing when you get older, you're going to wish you had more of is musculature. And so it just made me, I'm trying to hire a personal trainer for my mom because it's just not she's never once worked out consistently in her life in any way, not for a week, not for like she's walked and stuff, but walking doesn't build muscles like, she needs upper body strength. She needs actual like resistance training. I'm projecting too because I need it too, but at least I have had some sort of idea of what that is. So I'm like, maybe she could, I said, maybe if I just pay a trainer, and she's like, I don't want you to do that. And I'm like, well, then I'm going to pay him anyway. And if you don't show up, it's a waste of my money. I think that's the only way I can get her to go. I don't know. I just want my parents to have muscles.
I had one. Well, I still have one. He's just back in Arizona. And it's great because you have someone who is motivating you, who is teaching you how to work out in a way where you don't injure yourself. And it's also, it gives like accountability. Like he's showing up, so I have to show up.
Yeah.
And I'm all for coaching, therapists. Just get someone to help motivate you do good stuff.
I know. I don't
just get her on board.
Though. Nikki,
my mom was the same.
So much money. It's like, well, I would pay that for you not to die 10 years sooner. So what is the difference? Okay,
tell her Blake Shelton's going to be at the gym and he'll be her workout partner.
Well, my mom's the same way. She never worked out her entire life. She just didn't want to do it. And then recently, she's truly living her renaissance right now. She moved into a community in Florida of over 65 people and made a group of friends. And now she exercises more than she ever has in her entire life. And it's because her group of friends do exercise-related activities. They play pickleball. They go swimming. They go on walks. And I think for someone like your mom, one of the only ways to get her to exercise in that way consistently is to connect it with something that's not just you're exercising.
Right. It's her
I don't know about that. Because, well, the thing is, my mom, I think the only way is to motivate her by otherwise your daughter is wasting money. Because that is her truest, biggest fear in life is that her daughter is...
But your mom likes fun.
What on that? She does, but I'm talking about like my mom needs to do more than just play tennis or pickleball. She needs to do actual weight resistance training. Like how do you get women doing training. That? She's not going to go to like pool classes where she's with the floaties doing exercises in the water because the social aspect of it. My mom doesn't do that.
Would she go with you? Would she be motivated by hanging out with her daughters?
Yeah, but I don't have time to go to a workout
get another reality show.
Right.
You're both working out. That's like the theme of the reality show.
I think that's a good idea. I think that
my
will
mom
motivate her. Yeah, and she was like, I'm making $1,200 a day for an appearance fee. I'll do it. I'll do whatever you need me to do, Nick.
And look at my tries.
But this pool party was fun, and it was a weird group of people. Milo Manheim was there from Dancing with the Stars. He was on the season that I was on, and it was good to see him again because I haven't seen him since then.
Oh, yeah.
And he did a movie with Tim. So Tim knew Milo. And then Milo brought another friend who was this 18-year-old kid who was like so like such an old, I hate to say old soul, but he was. I thought he was like maybe 25 at the youngest.
He's the same age as my wife.
Yeah. And then who else was there? You guys, and then Andrew Collin was there. That was fun. And then who else? Oh, David Spade came by, and then he sent me a text later and was like, I didn't know it was going to be Twinkapalooza up in there. I had to duck out because there were a lot of like young, hot guys.
David was a twink at one point almost.
David is a twink, but he made me laugh so hard. He gets there, he walks. There's like a 3-year-old there right when David arrives. I don't know what happened. Oh, Carlisle was there, but like a woman came over that Tim knows, and she had like a tiny baby kid that was playing in the pool. And as soon as David walks in, he says to me, you didn't tell me he was going to be here. And he points at the baby like he has beef with him. And I was like, oh my God, shit. I didn't know. I forgot totally about you guys. Oh. And then Tim goes, he goes, yeah, Dave goes, me and that baby have beef. And I was like, I'm so sorry. And Tim goes, yeah, they dated the same girl. It was so funny.
I mean, damn.
But David just came in and was like, I told him later, I'm like, I know that it wasn't your scene, because he thought it was going to be like more comics, and he didn't really know the comics that were there, and which was fine. He had fun, but he was like, it was, it was a little twink fest up in there. And I said, yeah, but I knew it wasn't far out of your way to go. And I wanted to see you. I just wanted you to come in and like say a couple zingers and leave. And that's exactly what he did. He kind of like circled around. And then Brian noted that he immediately he was like, all right, I'm leaving. And then like left. There was no like pretense of like, I think I'm going to go. It was just boom, gone, which is, I love that style.
I respect
that. He said
that
he stood up. We were talking, and then he stood up. There was as soon as there was like a pause in the conversation, he stood up and said, "All right, see you guys later," and then he left.
It was,
and there was no like production about it, where he went by to each person. Nice to meet you. Good to see you. Oh, I'll see you next Wednesday or whatever.
But it wasn't rude. Like it didn't come off as rude.
Mm-hmm. And we also felt like, if I was him, I also would get out of here.
Yeah, we're all looking for that exit as well. No, I really wasn't. I was having a good time, but it was it was fun. And any other things to say about it, Brian?
It's interesting when you go to a party like that and you're looking around. You don't know very many people. But you know that each person here is either rich, successful, famous, or a combination of the three. And and then what's interesting is that everyone else reciprocates that to you. When they look at you, they're like, what is this guy's deal? There must be a reason he's at Tim Dillon's house. And so everyone treats each other with a little bit more respect than you would at a different party. That I've been to other parties like that, and it's like that aren't in Hollywood or whatever, and people are like, I don't give a fuck about you.
Yeah, in
they
Hollywood, there's an
nothing.
implication that this person could be a producer. I don't know about.
You never know.
You never know. That's
like,
a really good point.
Doesn't
one of my
that
dreams
strengthen the point that Anya was making about how lonely it is because then it's like
no, there's no question LA is lonely as fuck. I just don't think that New York connections are real and I don't think that people actually help as much on the street. I think Anya gets approached because she's a nice looking girl that has like an open, shiny, kind demeanor, but I don't think most people are like really talking to each other in New York streets. In fact, there's not a lot of eye contact. Noah, don't you agree that people kind of just like, you have to be immune to everything going around you. If you addressed everything that needs help, you wouldn't get anywhere.
Yes, but like, I guess in a way I agree with Anya. It is easy to connect because there's like all these like New York characters that you see on a regular basis and they talk your ear off and you get their whole life story and vice versa.
I've never once talked to someone on the subway. Am I like antisocial? I've never heard someone tell me their life
the
story.
Like
it's too weird.
Park, on the street, waiting to cross the street.
You talk to someone?
Oh yeah. People will come up to you and be like, "I'm at NYU. We're doing a survey for our class. Can we interview you?"
Different. That's different. That's not talking.
And that's like someone doing a survey.
Well, it is.
Yeah, people come up to me. People come up to me in LA and they say, "Would you like to take 5 minutes for the environment?" And I say, "No, I'm sorry."
But they're working.
That's not going to make me less lonely. We have to remember where the conversation began, which is, which city is lonelier? And Anya's giving a bunch of examples of solicitors trying to get money from her.
Not solicitors. Here's my hypothesis. New York feels more like a family of people crammed in together. Mm-hmm. And therefore, there are fewer boundaries and fears about approaching someone. They're very often on the street. I'll say, you look lost.
You're just stuck on a ship with a bunch of people. It's crowded.
Yeah. In LA, everyone's in their own bubble. It's more isolated.
Yes. I agree with Anya on this.
I also agree with Anya on this.
It's the illusion of like when you're in New York and I'm depressed and I'm like, I'm so alone. I could walk down the street and I'm surrounded by people, which gives the illusion and does give you the feeling like you're connected to people. You're in this organism that is like working together and you're walking by people in the street. You can smell people. You can hear people's conversations. In LA, you get in your car and you're still in this bubble and there's not a lot of witnessing other people. It feels, I get that. I think it is the illusion, even though it does work to make you feel more connected, it's still not actual connection, which I think is the difference between our arguments. But I do agree with you. Like you can feel less alone in New York because there's just so many people around all the time.
Yeah.
And the thing about the parties in LA is interesting that everyone there, I didn't know why everyone was there and was like trying to.
Isn't that fascinating? And then you're just like, it's like when I went to the WGA meeting. And I would, or if I'm on the picket line, I start talking to someone. It's like, well, I have to secretly go onto IMDb and see what they did just to make sure I'm not embarrassing myself by not knowing who this person. Like, I didn't know who Milo was. And then after I got home, I was like, let me look this guy up. And I was like, oh man, he did all these things.
Yeah.
Stuff like that.
It's weird though, because I was like, why didn't I introduce him as he's from Zombies and he was on Dancing with the Stars? Sometimes I forget to introduce and to contextualize everyone, and I should have done that.
I don't think he wanted that. I think he was downplaying it because he has tattoos on his foot, a tattoo for each project he's done. Yes, I know this about Milo.
His IMDb is on his foot.
Basically, yeah. He has a little tiny tattoo on his foot for each project he's done. He's got a 27 for being on season 27 of Dancing with the Stars.
He doesn't have 27 credits yet. He's just has the number 27.
The number 27. And so I asked him, I was like, what do each of the things on your foot mean? And that was basically like saying, what's your credits, essentially, which I think some people
You didn't know.
I didn't know. I was just like, what are those things? And he's like, oh, just a little something for each project
very cool,
I did.
That's cool.
Do you know that his
Jeremy
mom is
strong?
He keeps trinkets and
From each
thing. Yeah, his mom is what's his name? What's her first name? Mannheim. She was on the Private Practice.
Cameron Mannheim?
Cameron Mannheim is his mom.
She's
she wanted a baby. The story of them, he was on my last show on Sirius, and you may have heard the story, but his mom, it's the coolest story. I had him tell it again to everyone there. But his mom knew she wanted a kid, and she went to she was hanging out with Marcia Gay Harden, who is a friend of hers. And Marcia Gay Harden was like, I go to this pottery class. You've got to go. The teacher is so hot. So she brings Cameron to the class, and Cameron's like, oh my God, this teacher is so fucking foxy. And she went up to him after the class and was like, if I'm not pregnant by the time I'm 35, would you want to have a baby with me? And said something like that to him, just kind of joking. He's like, well, I'm gay, but yeah, I'll do that. And so they would see each other at parties throughout the years, and that was just their running joke. She was in her 20s when she made this first offer, and they'd always see each other. And then it got to be the time she's 35, and she saw him and was like, I actually would do it. And he's like this stunning, tall, handsome guy. And so she got his sperm, and they made a baby, and it's Milo Mannheim.
Oh my God, that is amazing.
Yeah.
I love that. That is so, what a great origin story. Does he know his dad?
He does. He has a relationship with his dad, but he was just like but his mom was just like, I'm not gonna, it sucks that women have to like wait to find a good man to do, like, if they want to be moms, like they've got to have all these ducks in a row beforehand. I like that she just like took the reins and was like, I'm ready to do this. That guy. That's what I would like
it
to
makes
do
sense.
with a woman's egg. I'd be like, that girl, let's use it.
Yes.
If I wanted to do it.
Can I quickly, I do want to give a shout out to a bestie. Mm-hmm. This is a bestie shout out. I learned yesterday was Rob Stern's birthday. Happy birthday, Rob. And I did another social event that's 2 in the same fucking week, which is pretty rare.
Oh, that is
We went to dinner for his birthday at Moon Shadows, that restaurant on the Malibu coast. Have you ever been to Moon Shadows?
Oh my God, you had to drive up to Malibu?
Yes, I did. Well, half an hour shorter. But I went to Moon Shadows. And then there's this couple that are friends with me and Rob. And I didn't know this, but the whole time, this one of my friend's wives, Liz Galalis, is a bestie. And she was a bestie before I was on the show. So then I was like, well, so then when I came on, was that like a rude awakening? And she said no. But Liz Galalis, shout out to her. She's a bestie. And I knew it's so crazy and amazing meeting people who are like, I was a bestie and I knew you I knew you before, and then I was a bestie before, and then you were suddenly on the fucking podcast I listened to.
Yeah, that is so wild.
Yeah.
Hi, Liz.
So nice.
That's so cool.
It is so nice to it's when people are besties, it just warms my heart and is a different.
Sometimes I'm shocked. I'm like,
different level of fandom.
Like, I know some care people that are besties, but I think that they're care.
Really?
Mm-hmm. But they're
we don't have any cares. Besties are all actually cool.
I thought they were care, but they're besties. So I'm like, oh,
you know
cool.
that they can't be. Yeah, so they're cool without the you.
But they like sometimes in their lives, I just yes, in their lives they sort of make some care choices. But then I'm like, oh, I love you now because I know you're a bestie.
Is this like K choices you see on Instagram? Like this is how we diagnose K now.
Yeah.
Let's go to break and come back, and maybe we'll discuss K a little bit more. But we got to get to Fanthrax talking about besties. Let's do that when we get back right after this. All right, let's just get into it. Let's get to Fanthrax. Haven't done it in a while. Woo! Time to get to Bestie mail and voicemail. Noah, let's just get right into it.
Okay. Well, I'm going to start off with Kelly because this seems kind of urgent.
Kelly. Okay.
Hey guys, longtime bestie here. I wanted to get your opinion on a situation. My car was broken into this morning and it's my own fault. I left it unlocked for the first time in years, but
not your fault.
They took out, I had a big bag of dry cleaning full of all of my favorite sweaters, and one of them was this vintage sweater that I'm just like, I can't replace it, and I'm looking everywhere for it, but how would you handle the situation? How would you get over it? What would you say to yourself? Would you just say that it's gone, then it doesn't matter, I need to get over it? Or just, how would you guys deal with the situation? Cope with the loss of your favorite sweaters?
Okay, I'm trying to think of my favorite sweater.
All right. Thank you. Bye.
Oh, I'm so sorry,
so
babe.
sorry.
Oh, that sucks so much. I can tell how much that sweater means to her. Do you guys have
Getting
like
your car broken into is such it
you've
feels
had it happen.
It's so violating.
It's like, this is my little personal car. I don't even want people valet parking my car because I don't want people in there. But like when someone just busts into your fucking car and takes something from you, it just feels so violent.
It's not her fault. We all leave our cars unlocked sometimes. That doesn't mean someone gets to go into it. So it's like, it's so not your fault. You should be allowed to leave your car unlocked.
Yeah.
In no way is that your fault. Don't let anyone tell you that it is. You should be able to leave your car unlocked and not have someone take your fucking dry cleaning bags.
So true.
So
it's
annoying.
the fault of a violent and selfish society.
Yes,
you can
it
sum
is.
up so many like violations through stealing, like the stealing of someone's security, the stealing of someone's objects, the stealing of someone's life. It's like stealing is so, I don't know, it's so wrong.
Yes, you just take something from someone and then it's theirs and there's nothing you can do about it.
And the person probably isn't going to even value these sweaters at all.
No,
it's like they probably got. I mean, I don't even want to say what that probably became of these sweaters, but how I'm having a hard time empathizing right now because I don't have any sweaters that mean that much to me, but I'm trying to think of something that would mean that much to me if it got stolen. I'm having trouble conjuring anything because I just don't know that I get that attached to.
Do you have anything
objects,
from like Mimi, your grandma, or anything like that?
No. And I guess what I would say, and the reason I think I don't is because I guess, and this probably won't bring comfort, so I'm sorry if this is just like the wrong thing to say, but we die eventually and you can't take it with you no matter what. Like at some point you and that sweater will be not as one.
separated.
Yeah. And it just happens sooner than you want it to, but it was always going to be that way in the end. And yes, it could be passed down to the next generation and stay with people that you love, but even they would eventually pass on, and the sweater will eventually be alone in a landfill someday, and there will be no humans around to take care of it or be with it. And that
there'll be a dinosaur wearing it, maybe.
I also think that I guess I do have a take, which is when I do lose, sometimes I lose things, I guess, that I've spent a lot of money on, and I just feel so stupid and so mad at myself. What a waste. And I'm so angry at how dumb I was. There's a story of me spilling the water on the laptop that I literally had just opened and bought and spent thousands of dollars on, and I spilled water on it. And my therapist, my abusive therapist, Dr. My Abusive, she told me, and I'll repeat it again, is that don't punish yourself, because it sounds like part of your sadness is like it was my fault, like I did this, and like how stupid I was to leave that valuable thing, my car door open when I knew that vintage sweater was inside, like I deserve this or something. The punishment is losing the sweater. It's already happened. Don't pile on the punishment. Like you already got the punishment, like you don't need to punish yourself anymore and like suffer with thinking how stupid I am. Don't tell people about it that are going to double down on that. I know that when I spilled water on my computer, I called my mom instantly because I knew she would go, why would you have a glass of water next to your new computer?
It's like cutting.
Why would
Cutting
you do
yourself.
Just punish. So the punishment is already done. You lost your sweater. That's like, that would be a severe punishment to you if if you killed someone could go, well, I'm going to take your sweater and that's what you get for killing someone. So it's already in and of itself a punishment. So back off in that way. And then in terms of dealing with the loss of it, I don't know that I am ready to speak on that. Can you guys maybe share some stuff?
Well, it sounds like, what's her name? We don't know.
Kelly,
it sounded like you were sort of fishing or like dancing around the idea of maybe trying to get them back. If that's what you need to do, try. My first thought was like, oh, you're never getting those sweaters back. Not to be harsh, but
I think she meant like Poshmark finding the same sweater elsewhere.
I see.
Like eBay.
Yeah, sure. But my hunch is that these sweaters mean something to you. So my first thought was like, write about this, write about everything that comes up for you. Is it like what Nikki's saying, like, God, I'm so stupid, or I feel violated, like Brian was saying? Is it, oh, this sweater meant so much to me, I had all these great memories, or I'll never, like, I have a blazer that I would be kind of shattered if I lost, but not because it means something to me. It's just the perfect color. It's the perfect cut. I wear it all the time. It's like dressy, it's casual, and I've never found one like it. So that would annoy me. But like, write about what's coming up for you. And then here's the thing I've been working on lately. Let yourself feel all the feelings and don't do the shortcut to, well, I just have to get over this and, just get over it. Like, really let yourself feel the feelings. And then this cool thing happens where they do kind of wash over you. I've had this recently. I just disappointed somebody and they let me know. And I was like proud of myself because I let myself feel what came up, which was like, fuck you for being mad at me. Fuck you for like telling me I disappointed you. I get really angry and I'm not used to feeling that way. And then I was able to move from that through like, it's kind of annoying that they told me I disappointed them. And then it's like, I don't know if I really like this person. And then I was like, well, they have a point. I did do something not that nice. And then I got around to compassion. And then once I was neutral, I was able to act from there. So that's my advice is like, write about all this, let yourself feel everything, and don't judge yourself for whatever you might be feeling. And then, maybe you'll find a new sweater.
Oh, wait, so Brian, what's your take?
Well, if you want, also
Nice.
right now, if you're feeling like you'll never get your sweaters back and it's just so sudden, if you want an off ramp from hope, because now your hope's been entirely dashed, you can give yourself little pellets of hope, like a hamster, and it'll slowly snuff out the hope over time. So for example, now that your sweater's gone, you can believe, which I don't think this will work out, but you can believe maybe the thief will post the sweater on Craigslist and try to sell it. Or maybe the thief will donate the sweater to Salvation Army to get money for it. And I can try to look on Craigslist. I can try to look at the Salvation Army, and maybe I'll be able to buy back that sweater at some point. So keep looking at those things for the next couple of months. And then slowly the hope of you getting the sweater will decrease. But at the same time, your acceptance of losing the sweater will increase, so that by the time you lose all hope, you'll be ready to accept that it's gone.
I like
that. I think that another thing I would recommend, and maybe this is like too soon, because sometimes when people's dogs die, I'm like, get another dog. And so they're like, well, I'm not ready for that. But sometimes I'm like, but I think it would actually help. I think you should get a new sweater. I think you should treat yourself as a thing. Stop this. It's my fault. I lost my sweater. Feel victimized by it. Feel like this bad thing happened to me. I deserve a fucking treat. Like, if you deserve some compassion. You deserve something nice for yourself because you were victimized. This wasn't your fault. So go and you spend more money than you probably should, and you treat yourself to something you've wanted forever that can replace that sweater now and become your new vintage sweater that is your new most sacred and prized possession, something you really love. And maybe it's going to take a lot of time to find that thing, but now this opens up a space in your closet for something new that can be that important to you.
It's an opportunity.
Yeah.
That goes hand in hand with what I was just thinking about too, which is a lack mentality versus an abundance mentality. Sorry, Arape, but I come from this a lot. I don't know if this is what you're upset about, Kelly, but maybe it is. Like, I spent all this money on these sweaters. Now they're all gone and I don't have any money. We don't know where you're coming from financially.
Yeah.
So for me, that's where, like, I was on a trip recently and it was expensive and the trip got kind of fucked up for me. Like, one of the days was going to be fucked up. And I was so upset about this. And a friend was like, you really sound like you're in this lack mentality. What if you were in this mentality of like, it doesn't matter. I still have 8 more great days of this trip because one of the 9 days was fucked with. And I'm trying to do that more. Just be like, what if I had this attitude of like, you can't take stuff away from me? Or like Nikki's saying, like, what if I had the money to buy more sweaters? Like, what would that look like? I don't know.
And even if it's like you don't have the money, just go to Goodwill and find a new vintage sweater that you can ascribe some sort of meaning to, that is like you're giving a sweater a home that wouldn't have one before because you're.
Oh, I love that.
Something gets a chance because you got this stolen for you that would have just sat and rotted. And that sweater you could even think about the history of that sweater and how that may have been stolen from someone and now you're giving it a good home or something like that.
Yeah, that's
and
good too.
And probably somebody needs that sweater. The person that stole, even though it sucks, they needed to steal that. It needed to happen.
And it was always going to happen.
Yes.
You parking your car where you did, leaving the thing. That's where no free will sets me free. It was always, this is determinism. Things are always, they're already set in stone of how they're going to happen because of physics. Things are going to end up the way they are going to end up, and nothing you can do is going to change that. So it was always going to be this way. It wasn't your fault. You're not stupid. You're not foolish. Everyone gets burglarized at some point. You can't really avoid it.
Yeah, I mean, I lost my wallet
Yeah.
because I left my stupid fanny pack open. I mean, how dumb was that? But you know what?
He moved
now there's
on.
someone
With
writing
new
scripts
Vans.
with my WGA card.
Yeah. Well, I got this letter last night from, I hope that helped you, Kelly. I got this letter from Kelsey last night and I'm reading through it and there's nothing, I'll just say, she says all these very nice things. She said, buckle up. I'm giving you this letter because I'm too afraid of how I will actually react when I meet you. Well, I saw you meet me and you were ridiculous. Get it together. No, you were so sweet. It made my night. Also, what made my night at the Laugh Factory was a table of what I'm guessing were gay men who were like, as I was walking up, they were like, we love you. We love you. We love you so much. And it was like, when gay men love me, I'm sorry. It means so much. Especially sweet women and gay men. It's the best because gay men have great taste, I think.
That's a new Taylor Swift song on the next album.
Gay men have great taste.
Sweet women and gay men.
So she said, since discovering you randomly one day in 2008 through my YouTube algo, my life has changed for the better. She didn't say algo, I did. My life has changed for the better. You have taught me to laugh more, be less hard on myself, sing more, create healthy boundaries, how not to be play guitar more, meditate with Sam Harris, be more introspective, work on myself, forgive my parents, be brave enough to go to things alone, no free will, and most importantly, you made me the Swiftie I am today. And then she goes on to say, I'd say you're my Taylor Swift, but you're not. You're my Nikki Glaser, and anybody who is friends with me knows how much weight that carries. This is just like, it's so nice. I am right there with you, playing my guitar and singing with you and Anya. I'm just reading excerpts. You're like my sister I always wanted and have never even met you before. How is that possible? How are you able to capture the hearts of all us besties through a screen? That is what makes you so special, I think. It's how you can make us feel special and less alone just through your words. It's a gift all of us benefit from. I really need to hear this. Thank you so much. Also, thanks to you, I'm now a huge fan of comedy in general. I now actively listen to about 12 or more podcasts hosted by other comedians.
Whoa.
Yes, my boyfriend tells me I have a sickness. I am a fan of all these comedians and have gone to see most of them live, and I would have never discovered them if it had not been for you and your podcast. So thank you for bringing so much laughter and joy into my life. Final thought. This is hers, but we'll make it ours too. Final thought. I really hope to get to the end of this letter. I know it's probably really uncomfortable to hear these things about yourself, but I hope you can accept these words into your heart because you deserve to hear them. This is so nice, and you are addressing exactly the feelings I'm having. I have so much more to say, but I believe your time is valuable, and I don't want to take up any more of it. I've bombarded you enough with my feelings at this point. All I have to say is I love you, Nikki and Noah and Anya and Brian and all of the besties out there. Don't be and just a reminder what 1 million people died in 9/11. Just an old joke of ours from way back in the day. So that is so nice. Thank you, Kelsey. That really touched my heart.
Sweet.
And I'll try to remember it on days where I feel worthless. Because that always creeps into. I texted Anya this morning because I've been I think the listening to Louis a lot has inspired me to like really try to delve into these jokes that I have and like try to really actually find the truth in things that are just maybe just a little thought I have. But like, no, let's cover every angle and maybe prove a thesis and that can't really be argued, which is always my favorite thing. And I'm really struggling with the idea of why people want to have kids. It started here where I asked Noah one day, like, why would you want it? Because Noah would like children. And I just want, especially when my best friends want something I don't want. And everyone knows like, I'm very interested in like, I'm bothered by the fact I don't want things. And I say this on stage. I'm like, I'm not approaching this kid thing like a Chelsea Handler vibe, which is Chelsea Handler's vibe, which I totally agree with hers as well. And I fucking love her take on not wanting kids and being child free and childless. But hers is more like, I did the right thing. Your life kind of sucks that you have kids. And I like that angle because it really, I send those clips to Anya all the time because we're both child-free people. And she's gone right now because she decided to go have kids. We just lost her. But she's like, actually, I'm out of that, Nikki. So she's in labor right now. But Chelsea Handler has more of like just like, why would you do it? Like, I'm living the best life. I'm smoking weed every day. I can do whatever I want. I can sleep till noon. Mine is more like, yes, I can do all those things. I get that. But like, what am I not getting about this wanting to have kids? Clearly, there's something about this that I'm missing out on. And so I've been like investigating it in every way. And I know that we have kids to prosper our species. That's the number one reason, because every species does. And then there's the emotional thing of like, Noah said, I want to see the world through a child's eyes. And that gets a laugh in my set because I go, my one friend Noah says, I would like to see the world through my child's eyes. And I go to Burning Man. like just to do some acid. Like, I think you'll get that experience. So that gets a laugh.
Do drugs.
But you want a lifetime of them. And then I explored, like, I think the answer is, and there is no shade here whatsoever, but I think the true answer is that people want meaning in their lives and they don't have meaning. At some point in adulthood, you find a career, you pursue that career, you do that career, you find a husband, you get the husband, and things kind of just settle down and you feel like, what's the point of me being here? What am I here for? And I struggle with that all the time. That's like why I have suicidal thoughts. It's like, what's the point of me? Like, if I didn't exist, who would care? And I think that instead of people letting those suicidal thoughts in, they go, let me find meaning in the form of being a mother. And I woke up this morning I opened my Instagram and the first thing that pops up is this. Do you know Bobby? What's her name? Bobby Altinoff. Wait, where is it? I sent it to Anya. Hold on one second. Bobby Altoff. She's that girl that talks like this and interviews rappers and is just very like
My Good podcast or something like that.
Yeah, like the Very Good podcast.
She interviewed Drake in bed and went viral.
Oh yeah.
And she's just like, "Were you hitting on me? Why?" And she's just so chill and so cool. But she's a mom. She's a young mom. But this quote I woke up to, I guess it's from her Cosmopolitan interview. And she said, "There are times when I think that if I didn't have my kids, I wouldn't be here. When I don't feel like the world needs me or that I have a place here, I know that my kids need me." And it got cut off by the thing. But that answers it for me. People feel worthless if they don't have a purpose. Like, she wouldn't be here if she had kids. If that tells me she would be dead, if she wouldn't be here, right? I don't think she's talking about Cosmopolitan magazine. I wouldn't be here. She means I wouldn't be alive. Therefore, she probably was a little bit, she's referencing, I'm guessing, unaliving, which is the way that you're supposed to say it right now. Even though I don't really like that.
I don't know if I agree with that though, because
what do you know,
like
think she means by I wouldn't be here?
When parents say like, "Oh, my children are my life," or comments like that, I think it just puts the onus on the children. You know, it's I don't know. There's just something that doesn't feel right about that.
I don't think it's good because I would be like, my mom would have killed herself if I didn't exist. And therefore my mom really didn't have worth without me. Well, that's a lot of fucking pressure. And also, if I grow up and I don't really want to talk to my mom on the phone every day anymore and I don't really need her, is she going to kill herself? Which is a lot of people's concerns that have overbearing mothers. and I'm not saying this woman's overbearing or that this was a wrong thing to say. It just gave me insight into exactly why I think people do have kids. I think I'm getting it now. It's because they want a purpose in life. And that is the instinct, because my argument is that animals, we're the only species that tries for kids. Other species just have kids and they're like, whoa, I just had, like, they don't relate having sex to like, we're going to make a baby bird. They don't think of, I really don't think birds know that inside their egg is a little bird. It's just the instinct pops up. Oh, the bird comes out and they go, oh, I got to feed this thing. It's all instinct. It's not like they're like, animals are fucking like, oh, we got to try for kids. They don't know. They're just fucking because it feels good or because it's the instinct. We're the only animals that go, I'm going to fuck so that I can have kids. Kids are like just a thing that shows up for animals, almost like predators.
Yeah, there's
like
no
they just shows it's a thing you have to deal with.
Monitoring their ovulation cycles.
Yes,
It's that time of the month. Yeah.
So
that's
I think
a good point.
actually weird to have it's a new thing to want to have kids.
Can I just go back to what we were saying about like kids give me meaning, give my life meaning?
Yeah.
I think the correct approach, or the one that doesn't like put any burden on children is kids gave our relationship a meaning. Because I remember seeing a statistic that like if you don't have a big change in your relationship like every 4 years, it's more likely that your relationship will fall apart. So, if the change is, we're going to move in together, or we're going to get engaged, we're going to get married.
We're going to work on this special together.
What's that statistic? I mean, it's saying that if you don't have a big change every 4 years, you're going to break up.
I totally agree with this.
A big kind of impact to shake things up.
People need big announcements. Like Instagram is just a microcosm of a bigger thing, which is like before Instagram, we still needed like a thing to look forward to. Humans, like, we need things to look forward to in life. And when you get to be a certain age and you've been working a job and you're not going to get a promotion and you're not going to pursue a new career and your house is the way it's going to be and you can't afford, like, you got to bring something into this, shake it up a little bit. And I think that's what kids do.
Flawed. I think that statistic's flawed, and it's skewed by the fact that just most relationships are not good ones, and so they break up before 4 or 8 years happen. And then they're trying to look for a cause.
Not everything has to apply to like one. Like I'm sure that's true too.
But there's plenty of examples of couples who have been married for 60 years and like they haven't had a big change since their kids went to college. And like, well, what happened? What about those 30 years where there's no changes happening, where they're just kind of...
My parents' marriage fell apart when, like the empty nest syndrome.
Yes.
Because they have nothing going on.
So a big change happened and then they broke up. So that goes against that study.
Right. But I think it's like, it's not a distraction it's not something to work on together. Whereas an empty nest is a big change in a way that it's like a deficit. It's not like adding. It
forces them to face each other.
A project. Yes.
Right.
I think that everyone knows that people have kids because they're bored in their relationships. We all know that's a bad reason to have kids and that people do that. Like, let's save the relationship by bringing a new kid, like a new thing for us to deflect our boredom with each other onto.
Yes.
But I'm just I want to do a set where I want to be able to go to the audience and have every reason that people have kids and have a thing to say about it and not being like, and that's a shitty reason. Because I don't think these are shitty reasons. Even last night I said, I get why you have kids. You're bored and your life is meaningless without them, which is not a bad thing. That's why I do comedy. My life is fucking meaningless without doing another season of F-Boy. That's why I pursue projects. It's not enough I have a weekend off and I have no purpose in my life. If I have a day off of work, I want to kill myself because I'm like, what is the point of my life? So I don't begrudge anyone having kids to fulfill that void, but you have to admit that's why you're doing it. That's what I want people to have to admit. It's like, you're not doing this because you've always like, I just don't know that. I think people are just scared to admit the real reason they do things. People are scared to admit they have low self-esteem. People are scared to, and this is a separate issue. People are scared to admit that they're insecure. People are scared to admit they're bored. People are scared to admit my life really doesn't have meaning outside of this one thing. I think I've been doing it for many years on stage of admitting my flaws. So I'm just more, and in therapy, more able to do that than most people, but I want to get people to a place where they can stop putting themselves on a pedestal for having kids and start realizing what it really is that you're not some sort of hero. You are you are a hero in my eyes because you're loving something so much that can ruin your life if anything happens to it. I think that is completely brave. I think it is up there with free solo climbing in terms of a risk, because your toddler, we all know toddlers like to get into shit. And if you don't watch it with like a hawkeye, your life could be over. Your toddler could just like run off with your life in its hands and ruin your life completely if something happens to it. Or if something just like unlucky befalls, disease, whatever, like you're taking a huge risk. So I really give it up to parents for that reason, but don't delude yourself into thinking that you are some like martyr or like better person than me. That's what I kind of want to strip away, is like parents who think like they're better than people who don't have kids.
That's a different little approach, is that it's less of just like the reason why you decided to have kids is not valid versus why are you think you're better than me because you had kids, or why does that make you superior?
I don't think most people think they're better than me because they have kids. I think there are a few people that do, but I also want to strip away the idea that even if you don't think you're better than me, the reason you think you had kids is kind of not the reason you think. Because I have so much love to give and I've always wanted to be a mother. No, there is an insecurity deep down in you that you're not enough unless you put more life on this planet and that you have a job. And we all come from a place of that. I just happen to have a job that has not yet become too boring that I need something else. I think that I definitely think that I could have kids if I get bored with my life. And maybe that is not everyone's perspective. Please write to me and say that is, if you have a perspective on why you had kids that is I haven't touched on yet, I want to hear it, because I want to hear every single side of why you want to have kids. Because I'm trying in a very slightly autistic way to understand another side of human beings that I don't understand. And I just want to get it. Like I get frustrated when I've felt this way about, why do you like hiking? Why do people like to go see things that they could Google image? Why do you like cooking when you could order out food? And I understand that some people cook because it's cheaper, but like some people don't. Some people like to cook even if they can afford to order out. I like to understand people's motivations. So send in yours if you have one. And or if I've hit it on the nail on the head, please send that to me as well. But yeah. When people say they have so much love to give,
that's why I hike. I hike because I have so much love to give.
Right, but like, have the love you have for a dog? There's nothing in me that goes, man, I want something more. Like, it's just there's so much love there. I had to give my dogs to my parents to get them away from me. I love them too much. Like, it's too strong. But I think it's like a drug. Love is like a drug. People want a stronger one. Give me something that's like, okay, I want this dog to like talk now. Okay, what's the version of that? That's a baby, like, I think people want love, and there's nothing wrong with that. But I think that I just want a reason for it, and people give me too vague of reasons for having kids, and I feel like it ends up sounding like when people describe mushroom trips. I just don't. I'm like, I guess I got to do it to understand it.
That's the problem with kids, though, is once you do it to understand it, then that's the only way you're gonna know whether or not you would have wanted to do it.
Trip
yeah, it's not like
lifetime.
you do. Yeah, it's not like you do shrooms, like, and then you have to raise those shrooms for the next 20 years while they slowly suck away your livelihood and time.
That's why I respect it. Mad respect to parents out there, because you are locking yourself into a thing that you could maybe not like, and that you might have was like, let's see if we like this. And shout out to mostly men who are the ones that like get stuck being parents and don't really have a choice whether or not they're going to be parents.
Yeah.
I would wear condoms. I mean, the fact that men ever don't wear condoms is so insane to me, because at least as a woman in the state I am in right now, I think in California you can still get abortions. I get to decide whether that I become a parent. Men do not. They just have to do it.
Then men get to decide whether or not they stick around.
Well, men can, run the world and decide whether or not women keep their babies or what. But yeah, men can but they still have to pay. They'll get hunted down. And they'll still be a parent. They'll still have to live knowing they abandoned their child the rest of their life. We've really gotten into it. We lost Anya, but maybe for good reason this last chunk. Thank you guys so much for listening to the show this week. We will be back next week. You know we will. Thank you for your call, Kelly. Thank you for your letter, Kelsey. Don't be and just tell me why you want to have kids.